What up, what up? Say so G. Back on the top, back on the video. So the title of this video is gonna be home ownership in 2025. Or should you purchase a home in 2025? We'll see how this conversation goes, right? So admin notes, thanks again to all the subscribers who got subscribed to the channel. I endeavor to keep pushing these videos out to give you leverage to better yourselves. So I'm gonna actually do a little bit of a series on this. Well, maybe not a series, but I'm gonna do a couple of videos when it comes to this. I actually did one yesterday, I just didn't post it. But I really believe that the home ownership and just talking about the housing market as a whole, I think is very important with this new administration coming in, with mortgage rates being so high. And also a lot of folks have told me I need to start talking about money again, right? So we want to make sure that, we put ourselves in the best position possible when it comes to us using our money in 2025 and beyond. And home ownership has some pros and cons. I'm going to go over a couple of things when it comes to me being a homeowner, and you take your own spin on it, and you have to figure out for yourselves, is it a good purchase for yourself right now or a bad purchase? It's all a personal decision. So let's get into it. So should you purchase a home in 2025? So I did a little bit of research this morning before I started doing this video, looking at mortgage rates. I got my coffee in my hand right now, so I can't bring my phone out, but I'm gonna try to remember as much as possible what I read this morning. And a 30-year fixed mortgage right now normally is going to be about 7% even, right? 7% interest. So basically, you're going to be paying 7% of the entire loan when it comes to purchase a home right now, and get a mortgage. And as you add money to the down payment, depending on what kind of loan you decide to use, you're going to shave off a lot of the monthly payments that you're going to have to pay over the years. One statistic that I saw this morning, which is kind of crazy for real, because it's something that I can't even relate to when it comes to my mortgage and my home, right? So I saw a statistic that a $300,000 home, which if you look at the housing market and how homes are right now, like $300,000 for a home is not a lot, y'all. It isn't. You know what I'm saying? I'll put it like this. It's not enough to buy a decent house right now. It really isn't. You probably have to go to the deep south to get a house that's even decent enough that's going to cost you $300,000. And it's going to be very small, very small. Honestly, you'd be better off trying to use that money to buy a townhome. For real, in this housing market. And even townhomes are very expensive right now, right? So $300,000 is not a lot of money, y'all, when it comes to a home. And it's really crazy to even say that because, if you go back just 5 years ago, it still was a small amount of money to use for a home, but you could get a decent house that wasn't messed up, that didn't have a lot of problems. But nowadays, no, sir. $300,000 is not a far-reaching amount of money to use to get a decent home. It just isn't. But the statistic that I saw this morning was a $300,000 home at a 7% interest rate at 30 years, right? The mortgage is going to be $2,000 even. So put that in perspective now. A $300,000 home at 7% interest for a 30-year loan, mortgage loan, is going to cost you $2,000 a month. Now, it's not including mortgage insurance. It's not including homeowners insurance. It's not including all the maintenance you have to pay for when it comes to the home. It's not including it's just so many things that's not included, man. You know what I'm saying? Because, a lot of folks will say that, renting is the way to go because you can save money on other expenses. But when you really think about it, honestly, I'm not going to sit here and say that owning a home is a really good investment, because it all depends on what you're going to use the home for, and it also depends on, you know, how much of a financial security blanket you have for yourself, because a home can break you. It just can. It can break you financially. Make a video about this. I'm going to make a video about this probably in the next couple of days, where I've been seeing a couple of videos where single women, have been buying homes, and it's not a good look. You know what I'm saying? It really isn't. Matter of fact, I may talk about it right now instead of making a separate video about it. You know what I'm saying? But let's get back to should you buy a home in 2025, right? So let's give me a coffee time. So yeah, I mean, $300,000 is not a lot of money to use to buy a home. And put this in perspective, I pay less for my home now in mortgage. And I have a 2.3% interest rate. And my home, when I include my equity, is a little bit over $500,000. Now, I bought my home back in 2015. So, different time, different era, right? But, and thank God, my wife convinced me to buy that home during that time, because I was still in uniform during that time. And I was like, man, I got like 3 or 4 years left in the Army. Like, should I buy a home now? I'm glad I did. But, you know, trying to buy a home in 2025 right now, I mean, like, even folks that are my age, and this is my opinion, right? Now, somebody can correct me, somebody can, you know, dispute what I'm saying, right? But if you're not handy, as far as like you being able to fix things or figure out how to fix things, you don't got to be an expert, you know what I'm saying? But you got to be a person that, that is, willing to learn how to fix things on your own. If you're not a person like that, and you don't have at least a 6-figure income, buying a home is stupid. I'm not calling anybody stupid. I'm just saying, like, from a financial perspective, if those two things is not describing you, it does not make financial sense to buy a home. I'm just telling y'all, it doesn't make financial sense, because for one, there's so many things that can happen with a home that excuse me, I'm trying to get over a cold. There's so many things that can happen with a home that could be extremely expensive. And when you're in an apartment, you don't got to worry about that, because guess what? What happens is that you just call a maintenance guy, and he just comes by and just fixes it for you, and the apartment pays for it. But when you have a home, that stuff is on you. So let me put this in perspective a little bit. I'm gonna be up here for about another 10 minutes. So, my home, the living room that I normally sit in when I do videos, right? There's a fireplace right there, electric fireplace, but it has a pilot light that's under a panel at the very bottom. That light has gone out, I think, that flame has gone out maybe twice since I've been there, and I figured out myself how to light that pilot light. But I'm for the projects too, and we had gas stoves, so I understand how gas works when it comes to lighting things. There have been plenty of times where in the projects I had to get on the floor and relight the pilot light under the stove to get things working again. And that electric fireplace is exactly the same concept. So that was easy. But your normal person that don't like to do things around a house, or wasn't raised in that type of environment, would have had no clue how to fix that. Had I called somebody to fix that, off rip, that would have been about $150, just as a diagnostic. That's not him or her fixing it. That's just them diagnosing and telling you that the pilot light needs to be relit, right? So after the second time I did it, maybe about a year later, it wouldn't come on again. And I'm going under the panel, and I'm like, okay, the pilot light is on. It's flaming, but it's not working. So I'm like, what's going on here? So I'm doing some research, more research or whatever. Then after a while, I just kind of gave up. I said, you know what? I don't like things to be broken in my house for a long period of time. I have been researching for like a good 2 weeks. I still couldn't get it right. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to call somebody. I got the money, whatever. So call the guy to come out, look at it. And he was a cool dude. He said, hey man, only thing that's wrong here is the switch, the light switch you use to turn the electric fireplace on. Like the switch is out. So I'm not going to charge you because it's crazy for me to charge you this amount of money for me to switch out a light switch. So just go ahead and just go to Home Depot or Lowe's and just get a light switch and just fix it yourself. Fine. So, when you get at home and you walking around your house and you hit a light switch to turn the lights on, to turn power on into your house, understand that after a while, those switches actually go out. There's a power cell that's inside those switches. So if you have your house more than 20 years or more, and it's cheap. It's really cheap to fix it, whatever. I think that the light switch ran me about, I don't know, maybe $1, maybe. And all I had to do was just go downstairs, turn the power off with the main breaker, and then twist the two wires together, and then screw the panel back on with the switch. No problem. But your average person is not going to want to do that, right? Or they're not going to like to do that, right? So there's no hit on women or anything like that, or even men that wasn't raised in that type of environment. But like just little stuff like that can run you a lot of money. Me calling somebody to fix that light switch could have ran me about $200 for a job that took me barely 10 minutes and cost me barely $2 to fix. You see what I'm getting at, right? So if you're not handy and you don't have a 6-figure income, getting a house in 2025 is absolutely insane. It really is, because the mortgage rate is just too high. It's way too high. And what's really crazy about this is that, let's say the current administration we have right now, lowers interest rates. If they lower interest rates, it's gonna be a bull run when it comes to buying homes. And all what's gonna happen is that the price of the home is gonna jack up. Just like 2020. Interest rates are really low, but folks is paying damn near $50,000 over asking price because these bidding wars happen. There's no way in the world I'm gonna sit here and believe that that's not gonna happen again if mortgage rates go back down. So it is what it is, y'all. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But you have to really put things in perspective when it comes to buying a home. I think buying a home is a great thing. I think it's a good thing, because you can build equity, and the amount of money you're gonna pay in rent at any apartment, you can take that money and put it to a home, and then you own the home, right? And then you're able to use that home as leverage, as financial leverage for yourself, versus you staying in an apartment for 10 years and they can put you out and you literally have nothing to show for it. You could be paying $3,000 a month for 10 years in an apartment, and one incident happens and the landlord can put you out. And that's $300. That's $3,000 you paid every single month for 10 years. Then you have nothing to show for it. Nothing. You have built no equity inside that apartment at all. Outside of maybe some furniture you have inside the apartment, you literally own nothing about that apartment at all. Nothing. Home is just gone. Versus a home, you could literally take that home and sell it and grab all the cash that home has accumulated for its equity, and literally take yourself out of debt instantly. You got folks right now that have over $200,000 in equity in their home. Most folks in America don't have a $200,000 problem when it comes to debt. Most folks can clear their debt if they have at least 20 grand on hand. Most folks right now, if they had 20 grand on hand, and if they were smart enough and disciplined enough, they could take the 20 grand and throw it all on debt, and they're debt free the very next day. No problem. So just imagine the average American having $200,000 they can grab from their home. I mean, there's no comparison when it comes to what is the more sound financial smart decision when it comes to renting versus an apartment versus a home. But the problem is that a lot of folks don't want to go through the pain and suffering of having a home. And most importantly, they don't have the funding to go through the pain. Every single thing you have in your home is going to break eventually over 30 years. Everything. The dishwasher, the washer and dryer, the refrigerator, the microwave that may be mounted to the wall. Like those microwaves that you actually have as a set that may be connected to the stove. Those don't last long, y'all. You know what I'm saying? They go out, right? And those microwaves are more expensive than a normal one you would sit on your counter. Obviously because it's bigger and because you have to mount it on the wall, right? You know, faucets, toilets. I have a toilet right now that is leaking. I had to turn it off or whatever, and I had to replace the whole toilet. That's gonna be expensive, right? You know, light fixtures. If you have fans in your home, those don't last long. I mean, well, I'm sorry, they last a good little while, but I'm saying like over a 30-year span, damn near half the stuff you have inside your home right now is going to be replaced. Everything. And let's not even talk about the HVAC system that provides your heating and your cooling. That alone is going to run you between $5 to $6 grand off rip. And my house is dual zoned. So dual zoned means that I have a HVAC unit in my attic, which cools and heats my top floor. Because I have a basement. I have a 3-level home, right? So I have a top floor, a main floor, and a basement. So I have one full HVAC system that warms and cools my top floor. And then I have a secondary one that that is in my basement that cools and heats my main floor and my basement. So think about that, y'all. Put that in perspective. So that means eventually, if I keep this home long enough, I'm going to have to replace both HVAC systems. You know how much money that's going to be? It's real, y'all. So I'm not going to make this video to try to discourage folks from buying a home. I'm just saying that you have to really put in perspective how much money you're going to need to be able to maintain a home, because you don't want to be house poor. That's one of the worst things you can do. There's a lot of folks that I see walking around this area that I live in, right, and even beyond, that are house poor. They may have a decent looking home, but they can barely buy food. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? If you don't have if you don't have the income shovel to maintain a home, then it makes no sense to keep the home, right? It makes no sense to even buy a home. Getting back real quickly to what I was going to say when it comes to women buying homes. So my wife, she's a part of a sorority, right? I'm not going to say the sorority she's part of, but it's the sorority. It's part of the Divine Nine, right? So there's a lot of women in that particular sorority that she's very good friends with in that chapter that are high earners, right? Quite honestly, you know, in my years of, you know, traveling the states in the world and being in the Army, this is probably the biggest group that I've seen of black women that make a lot of freaking money, yo. A lot of money. And most of them are single. So what I'm getting at with this is that there's a lot of women in her sorority that have a huge income shovel, and they have homes, right, that are very expensive because we all live in the DMV, right? So most of these folks that she know live above us, right? They live more closer to DC than we do, which means the housing market is even crazy up there, right? So I mean, I've met these women before a couple of times, and I already know what's good. You know, some of them are doctors, some of them are lawyers, some of them are techs, IT technicians that, you know, they're cloud architects. These are black women, you know what I'm saying, doing it big, you know what I'm saying. But when it comes to the maintenance of their homes, I guarantee you their income shovel is so huge, all they're doing is stroking a check or swiping a card and having a man come out there to fix their stuff. That's really what it is. You know what I'm saying? They're not on their hands and knees fixing stuff. They're not doing that. But their income shovel is so deep that they can do this. That's not normal, y'all. Most folks can't do that. Most folks can't just swipe a card or stroke a check every time something breaks in their home. You got folks that probably have stuff broken in their home for years because they can't fix it. They don't have enough money to fix that particular issue. But what happens is those things start to compound over time, and then before you know it, half of the house is broke. You know what I'm saying? Is that good living? Even though you're in a home and you're not in an apartment, you have to deal with neighbors. But at the end of the day, if your sink doesn't work and half of the damn toilets in your house don't work, right? Your HVAC system breaks and you're freezing during the wintertime and are boiling hot during the summertime. It's like, what's the purpose? And then also on top of that, let's say that you give up on the home and you decide you needed to sell it. Well, guess what? If you have all that stuff that's broke, that means now you have to lower the price, the asking price, what you're going to offer these folks, right? So now you may wind up selling a house for almost for a loss because all these things are broke, right? So anyway, drop the comments and comment section below. Let me know what y'all think. I know this is a long, convoluted conversation when it comes to should you buy a home in 2025. Like I said, I'm probably gonna make another video when it comes to this, but like I said, a lot of folks have asked me to talk about money, and this is one of the things that I think we needed to discuss when it comes to the housing market, because I think personally buying a home is one of the best things you can do for your life. But me personally, I think that if you're single, right, you don't have a family, I'm not sure buying a home is the best thing for you. Honestly, I think you probably need to go into a cheap apartment and it's talking to guys, right? You know what I'm saying? And if you're deciding whether you want to have a family, then I think that from that point, then you should be entertaining about buying a home. Also, I have to mention this as well. Most of the sorority sisters that my wife has, they're single, but they have kids. So them buying a home actually makes sense for them, right? And once again, they have a huge income shovel. So when things break, they can pay for it, right? Most folks don't got it like that. They don't. So anyway, I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Hope you guys got some good information from this. When we discuss the topic or subject, you think it benefits your channel, email me at asog757@gmail.com. My email address, subscription below. Say so G, signing out. I'm gone.